the recording again. Thanks for notifying that. There we go. So one of the, for example, one of my friends I said, okay, now all you have to do is get become conscious in a dream, and say the name Rebazar Tars. We say Rebazar because we don't need to use this. We don't need to use that kind of E. It's the way the English people spell it, so we can say Rebazar. That's maybe more direct. So Rebazar Tars, and she said that in a dream, in a lucid dream, and she was like, "Wow, I flew and I saw this and I felt so good. It was heavenly." So these things, they do work, and that's how you really figure out. Oh, hey.
Well, I'm not saying that that one's not having the experience. My question was how this differs from either projection or from another entity saying, "Okay, well, he's open to this. Let's give him the vision that is of this category."
How does differ?
Because the idea that people have more powers in death or as psychic beings when they're kind of feeble in the physical realm, that are just in charge of things like that. That's what's the difference in your?
Yeah, so let me tell you about that. So in my case, for example, you can call me feeble. As far as in the physical, that's definitely the case. Although I do some physical work, I'm definitely impaired against healthy youth. Most definitely, but let
me stop. It's like super zoomed up on your face, right?
Sorry, I need to do it like this. Okay, is that better? Yeah, that should be.
Yeah, because that's gonna work.
Getting into it a little too much. So the point is, yeah, I do definitely. I am impaired against the so-called healthy people, but I can definitely do much more on the astral and the other places. Now, what is the difference between soul travel and projection, and between whether or not it's some entity, some other entity? Well, the thing is, if you call a master, you're gonna meet that master. If you call a master in a lucid dream and you actually go to him and you see the environment shift and you appear on a different environment and you see a man before you in whatever shape, but this man is sitting here offering you wisdom that you don't have, and this man is radiating light and glory that you don't possess, then you're like, hey, now that's real soul travel. And another thing is, soul travel is different from, of course, projection and those kind of other things.
Because you can certainly project. You read a book, you'll pick any fictional thing. You can summon. Now, yes. I'm not saying I do that. You can summon the Quaker Oats guy to visible appearance and have conversation to the same degree that most people say.
Yes, you can evoke anything.
I personally met with Jesus and all this stuff.
So, but what I was saying is that these guys have a caliber of power and potency that is different. So that's one thing, because this guy is not, it's not Bugs Bunny. If we're going before a master, and it's filled, like I said, with light and power that we just don't have on our own, and it gives us knowledge that we don't have on our own. That's what makes it real. And another thing is, these are, there's different intensities all over the place. So, for example, you say, well, how to know which demon is it? Well, let me tell you about that. I call on Lucifer in a dream, and suddenly it gets freakishly hot. You could say hellfire. I mean, maybe it wasn't like, extreme hellfire, but it did get seriously hot, and the dream starts stumbling down. Then the dream shifts. Then in another dream, Lucifer comes out and says, okay, here's the name of this demon. Here's what it can do. Then I send this demon to do some baneful working, and then I forget the actual demon. But basically what I'm saying is that repetitive encounters will show you that, yeah, that's what it is. If you call on Lucifer, you get the hellfire. If you call on an Eckmaster, you get a person with a lot of power. And characteristically, why is it different? Is usually because we actually reach other planes, not the astral plane. For example, in today's dream that I just had, I was dreaming about some sort of succubic spirit, like I said, due to a succubus, due to working probably with Azazel and Asmodeus, a Maimon.
So what? since Lucifer has long been was, and similar words, was a title for non-divinities like Jesus and anybody else that would be considered temporally and spiritually enlightened. So how do you know the difference between
let me tell you. Let me tell you. That's
Venus? What's the difference? What's the difference between Lucifer in the old-fashioned sense and Lucifer in the medieval Christian sense of the devil?
Yes. This is very interesting. If so, it matters on how you call upon the being. You see, for example, if I go Lucifer royar cimeron nalisen mendesin premioriet nedesis monies tiote parinison dumusonda na charcas miel heras fabilerontao sodirno fetam come, and that is like the Grimoire conjuration, from the Grimoire Varium, and that's, you could say, yeah, well, that's the Grimoire demon. But basically, if you call on Lucifer and you just get hellfire without really wanting it to happen, and you start having your dream collapse, and then a guy pops up and he's offering you demons, or for example, another day he manifested as a child, which apparently he does appear as a boy according to the Grimoire Varium. He manifests like a short-haired, blonde-haired, blue-eyed child, almost like a little baby or a cherub, but and then suddenly he has this red, quite terrible third eye, and he slams into my body, in testing me whether or not I would accept him in and allow him in. So yeah, it does work. How does that?
Well, I'm not saying that.
I didn't. I know.
I'm not saying that you don't have that you're not having some sort of experience. I'm saying is
how do you separate these guys?
You're saying it's the type of experience when you can project your way through things. It's like, pick something on a card and you're going to find something that you can picture yourself in the scene and that sort of thing. So or if you're not dealing with the devil, some lesser being can say, oh, well, this is something we can work with,
So
I'm not
how to solve this
with that. So perhaps we should go back and at least make it through a handful of cards here.
Yeah, I also want to maybe
because I feel like we're talking in circles over that. So
no. If I can, I want to finish up on that. You're talking about why not a lesser devil coming in and playing with us. You see, what I've experienced in evocation is the fact that if you call on a spirit according to its specific name, that spirit is going to come. So that means if I call on Jesus, Jesus is going to come. Now, and I call on Lucifer, Lucifer is going to come. It's not going to be some mischievous devil. It's going to be him. But how is that? Because I've used this
because it's like the shades of the dead. The shades of the dead, perhaps they're witnesses to what you might want to hear about the particular person, but the person's not, they're dead and gone. They're not responding to you. So
yes, but like I said,
something else that says, okay, I have some things connected to this person, or I have some things connected to the person who's doing the working. So they're going to throw in some of that. So
let me use an allegory in order to make this very, very clear. For example, you have a phone number and you have a Skype. If I use those, I'm calling you. So if I speak a specific name of a specific spirit, that's exactly what comes up. And how do we know? The intensity of the experience is that fact. So if you get,
we also know that people will call on one thing and something else saying to be something else.
Yes, I know.
That will come all the time.
So basically, if you evoke Lucifer, I mean, I don't mean you have to evoke him, but what I'm saying is if you do, you are going to get an experience. If you do it substantially enough, I mean, for some people, they may not feel anything. For some people, they can see something or feel something and whatnot, depending on their personal skill. But if you do it enough, you are going to eventually get an experience that is undeniable, that I have made contact with that specific being due to the level of power that it manifested, and due to the characteristics.
Okay, well, if different beings have that sort of power, and you're not, and the things,
If different
and
beings,
all these things can't be on, all these things aren't omnipresent. So you're doing something, and something
so then
else react
how
like
do you know?
automatically when you do ritual.
How do you know if that's
As I'm saying, I think this is this particular thing is talking in circles.
So
Perhaps
again,
let's just go back to
I'm gonna go back in just a moment, but I would like to emphasize this, because I do not like it when people, evoking entities, like for example the friend that I mentioned a little bit previous, who's working with jinn and all that. We can get into that, but I do not like when people evoking entities are saying, "Oh, I called Paimon, but accidentally something came up." It's not gonna be that way. It gets to a point where it is undeniable. Now, if that other entity has the same sort of power, and if that other entity has the same sort of knowledge, then for all you care, it doesn't matter. It's Lucifer in the flesh. The saying is, if you hop like a rabbit and you talk like a rabbit and you look like a rabbit, you are a rabbit. So that would be.
But the jinn, by whatever other name you're going to call them, they certainly they're not under the same confines as the human being, and pretty much, and most of them are shapeshifters. If you tell, if one overhears that you want to hear, you want something in with a lion face and a body like a bear, then one nearby of any type, not just calling on whatever you're calling on, may decide, okay, this is something to do with this guy. So you evoke it to go and do the thing, and it's not something else. And so, there. And then again, the projection thing is that, okay, this is the sort of thing you expect. Is one of the things that you may be aware of. None of the grimoires have everything that's going to be about any of those entities. There's always something somewhere else. Or maybe it's just something with it. And
so let me get
into something completely made up. There are completely fake grimoires out there, and something completely made up will come out that way. Is that people will have dreamlike experiences along the lines of what they have, and perhaps other entities will come in and involve themselves, because egregors certainly attract things, even though an egregor isn't an actual spirit.
Now, first of all, yes, you are right. If you want to call something, you may get what you expect. It could be an apparition and so forth. It may not be the actual thing. But now, when we're talking about actual evocations, such as, let's say, Lucifer, people think.
You already said that this is why I'm saying it's going to be better for us to just go on, because this is sort of, this particular thing is talking in circles, I would say.
Okay, so let me tackle the projection point of it, and just to finish up on evocation, is the fact that if you call a spirit, it actually doesn't come really from anywhere. Usually, you could feel that, hey, it came from the east or it came from the south, and they have this cardinal directions and all that. Yes, that's true. But the point is, if you call a spirit, you speak its name. It comes from your mouth. So, that is the actual being, and the power and the knowledge of it, kind of, like I said, it does definitely say that that's the one. And then, if you have a being who's impersonating Lucifer, but his every single force and power is exactly like him, and he has the knowledge and so forth, then you are indeed calling on Lucifer. And
I'm not saying I'm not saying the operation is what it is. And again, you're not. This is sort of talking in circles. So let's move on to something else, because the question's been asked, and it's.
Let me talk about the projection as well. So.
Because you said let's talk about the projection, and it's like you're imagining the thing, and it's going in the categories that you think, and
basically how to And I want to finish up on that as well, but I even lost my train of thought. Okay, so how to know if it's also a real projection, a real occurrence, and all that. Now, basically, in soul travel, the goal is to achieve higher planes. The achievement of higher planes, the planes are states of consciousness. So, what we
Yeah,
want to do.
you're right against the camera.
Sorry.
Um,
What we want to do is
you
want to
back
achieve
up a
those.
foot or something.
What we want to do is want to achieve those states of consciousness. Now, as we do this, if we call on the
Okay,
master,
that's psychological projection though. If it's just your states of consciousness,
no, no, no,
that's
no, 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 no. What I'm saying is a plane is a fully existential, let's say, aspect of reality, which is just like the physical plane, but then you have the astral, the causal, the mental, soul planes, and so forth. So these are fully existing things, but they are also states of consciousness. So these are existing realms which are also states of consciousness. Now, if you have a master, let's say Harold Klemp, and you don't know if he's a master or not, so yeah, you can get an experience. Now, what's to say that it's impersonating or not? Is it the right guy or not? Well, the point is, if you had an experience, you felt the power, you gained the knowledge that you didn't have, and you crossed a certain plane, which again, how do you know that? Because you arrive at a region in which you have more power, more knowledge, and hopefully more control over everything. Then you say, yeah, well, that was a true experience. So that's how you know. You know by your own experience, by your own results. And if that was a good experience, you know that it gave you the knowledge and the power that you didn't have before, and it helped you out. And it felt
okay.
it,
That's yeah. That's been repeated. So um
then you
let's see.
know that it
Let's
was
go
true.
straight into this. Let's do the season cards now. Okay, the universe, the world, whatever you want to call it, it's the last card. It's where things sort of end, but that's not it, because you know it has energy to start over, but it's complete and that sort of thing. But so what is your take on the universe card? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously I've said
let me pull it out. And actually, I want to look at, because I pulled out lust as well while I was looking for the fortune card. So let me see if I can find that as well, and hopefully we.
yeah, let's try to keep it around the 7, but you can definitely connect themes from one to the other. There's no,
I'm connecting it,
that's
because
exactly what we're supposed to do.
told me about your story about the vision, about the lustful visions of Lisa Simpson or the like. So I said, and hey, here's this card right here. So that could be good. Now let me see what actually, which card were you asking me about? Can you, sorry, please
Okay,
remind.
because it's it's the cards, as I said, the every day you can pull out a set of 7 cards to define that day without anything as a set sort of calendar of the cards. So the universe, the Ace of Disc, the Princess.
Oh, the universe.
Disc, the 8 of Cups, the Queen of Cups, Adjustment, or Justice as we would call, and the Wheel of Fortune.
Oh yeah.
So those are the cards for today. So if nothing else, let's. I was hoping to talk about these cards before.
That's good. I got the universe card, so let me read that and see what's gonna come up. Well, basically, what I'm seeing is the card is showing that for us both, we do have a spiritual sort of influx of, let's say, omniscience naturally coming our way. What we should do is let it flow, let's say, evenly, gently, in a balanced way, and not overheat or explode ourselves with it by trying to sort of get more or bite more than we can chew. So this tends towards the balanced life. Now so that was the eye in the card of the universe is flooding us with this knowledge. Now and that was the one face that is on the right top side, that was kind of a warning not to overheat or overdo. Now, what else I'm seeing is that this shows the direct sort of next progression or next stage to what I was speaking about, being the destruction of all things and all returning to the void due to our ascent. This shows the recreation and a sort of, you know, a new reality, and the sort of reality that is pregnant with more possibility, and returns us to the whole topic of dying daily, and 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 seeing how we can actually become relaxed and balanced channels for the power that is coming in order to now recreate the reality that has been annihilated. So we're talking about the future, but
Certainly, because you see, there's sort of an indication right there. The house is sort of what they used to think were all the elements, and that's sort of an arrangement from an old book. And so, yeah, you got all the tools, and you've worked all the tools in whatever way you were supposed to, and then you're ready to return. But yeah, it's every card, if you see it as a stage going from one side to the other,
oh yeah,
are, you know, you think it's the end of the world, and you make your way back to, well, you're not exactly entirely part of the world full, or you make your way back around, the adjustment card is, you're, but this is way towards the start from the other side. So, but I guess the world is just overwhelming and everywhere, and you got it. And it's, if you're making your way up backwards the alphabet, you got manageable amounts, and you're working those manageable amounts.
That could be, a lot of the serious or undeniable workings would be such that they leave you traumatized in a very visceral, and not just that would be psychological, physical, and also energetical, and spiritual. But sometimes you can manage it. Now, as far as the cards, I never really sort of, bona fide projected into them or travel through them. But I do believe that as we get to know the certain aspects of life logically by understanding the cards, we may indeed incorporate those into magic in a very real way. That being, we can work through the elements, the planets, stars, and so forth. So that would be how I would do it. Is, rather than really looking at going into projecting into a card. Now, what we have to remember as far as soul traveling into cards, that would.
So how does one, since this is the card for the end of November, the Eight of Disc, the Eight of Cups here. So how do we, stop ourselves from falling?
Oh yeah, here I got it. Okay. How do we stop ourselves from falling into indolence, you might say? So,
or getting ourselves out when that occurs.
Oh yeah. So how do we do it? And I believe that goes back to the last card, being that we definitely should remain balanced. Now, just to be more direct here, E.A. Coening in his divination course defined indolence as that which once was good, but now it is not, and that which once was good is now running dry. So how do you define the term indolence, actually?
Well, it's obviously something that's become stagnant, or
yes.
It's okay. You should do something, but you're not doing something.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of the things about knowledge. It's like I brought up somebody who, now, acquiring knowledge, I'm not downplaying that at all. But for example, I found people that know just a little. It's like the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You know, the 16 words, just 3 words though. But some people, this gets them through an awful lot. So, but you know, you have in Islam, you have the suwar, and the suwar are the ranks, the stages in the step. The surah, plural, is suwar, and that, you know, that's in that category. But it's like you know, to bounce it off the vacuum car, the whole fallen leaf thing. Well, you acquire the leaves, but you gotta, you know, live up to those leaves. And you find people that just learn the few short chapters at the end, which take up, I mean, the first one, and that takes up maybe a page. And you have people that can operate a life better on that than they can operate, and then people who've memorized books full of stuff.
Yes, this is a very important thing. So basically, you know, when I hear about, you see, when we look at these sort of, let's say, sorcerers of today, popular sorcerers of today, who being a so-called living gods do this and this, but then suddenly you read about a saint that it was able, let's say, which was, I think, Saint Teresa of Avila, that was able to not eat whatsoever, and E.A. Koetting is nowhere near that level, and all she knew was cry. Therefore, yes, we may remain focused on a single, very simple thing and attain very vast heights, and that kind of depends on two things: is what exactly are we focused on, and what kind of heights, you know, are we attaining. For example, most guys in Eckankar, maybe not most.
I know this can go on for a while, I guess. But so I'm going to progress this every couple minutes or something through these.
That's okay. Yeah.
So the Princess of Cups of Disc discs. That's I guess what we you know, have came to theme wise. So.
Oh, actually, if I can just for a moment, you know, you asked about how do we keep ourselves from really doing what we need to do and not falling into the lethargy of not doing what we need to do. That would be, you know, for me, for example, people would say, okay, you need to do this. Okay, you need to do this. And if I'm not doing that and I'm having a hard time doing that, but I'm having a good and easy time doing what I know, I'm having a good and easy time, let's say, writing books, making a video, or practicing magic in general. So that's pretty good. So what I realized was that how to keep yourself so that you will do what you need to do is to do that which you can do best and that which you prefer to do best. And that really, then you have kind of the 100% sort of capability in that. Because I know
general purpose versus specific purpose.
Yes. The purpose that is most agreeable to you, because I know what I need to do, and I can definitely do better in my areas of expertise versus doing something that people are telling me that I need to do. So yeah, that would be my approach to how to avoid indolence. That's what I've kind of learned as I've gone on. And yeah, if you wanted to get back, you wanted to get back to the other cards, so I will pull those out as well.
So the Princess of Disc is I don't think we've talked about that.
Yeah, let me get that.
Yeah. You know, you have your 3 modes. Oh, I don't mean to point with the mushroom on the table, but yeah, that's okay. I can point with the mushroom. But you know, we have our modes there. I guess it's broken into 3. You know, because 3 per month, I guess, is what you got there. And you got negative and positive. But, you know, she's making the different decisions. So having it a female card that has this theme is appropriate.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
People criticize and say, but borderline personality disorder and bipolar and whatnot. It's like, no, it's just women. It's okay. We're used to it. We don't think they're crazy necessarily, or at least we shouldn't. But you know, there's the cycles of nature and stuff, and you have different responses to each of them. And sometimes you got to direct it. And I guess her holding it in her hand as she directs things.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever had to deal with women, it's you know, a guy can do the same things every day and all that stuff, and it's really, you know, the variety of life. I'm not articulating it too well, but you know.
You mean that a woman is more jumpy from one thing to the next? Yeah, that may be the case. Now, and as far as those disorders, you know, I wanna just touch on that just a little lightly. You know, now usually people are like, oh, my child has this ADD, ADHD, and all of that. And I like the kind of, you know, the easy reference that, okay, guys, learn to control your body, control your mind, and hopefully control some of your energy, and that's gonna wash away like nothing. So usually people, yeah, they attribute problems to where there are none. There's just a lack of discipline. Now let me also look into the princess. Now to me, this card is saying, okay, you should let's say embody more the feminine principles. So in our case, that would be invoking various female powers, and that should
You
bring
see, despite the fierceness and all that, you have, you know, a fur coat. So there's a gentleness in the animal and plant power, just addressing the physical situation as a physical situation.
Yes, and for me, it's saying that, hey, you should use the gentleness and the feminine power in order to mature yourself, so that then you can claim what the outside world as well has to offer. So that would be kind of, and the directing part of it would be that, hey, now that you have made yourself the kind of pregnant, fertile woman that is capable of birthing something new, then you need the male will, the sort of masculine force, or in order to use that, the active force, in order to use that and direct that. So that's really how the princess, how this orb, this yin and yang orb, and the staff sort of correlate in this reading for me. Yeah, that would be my.
And you know, whether a particular individual is a monotheist or not, one's got to admit that the over-gendering of things, or the over-personifying of forces of nature or qualities and stuff, is, you know, it goes too far. It's like, and then people are like, you know, it's like, that's the thing about YouTube and social media. You get comments that people would just not, you know, saying you're not a woman because you don't enjoy cooking, cleaning, or sewing, or whatever you think what you're supposed to do. It's like, or even if they're better at it, they don't people don't necessarily enjoy that. I mean,
yes,
even if it didn't hurt, lifting heavy things isn't exactly enjoyable to me. I can lift, you know, far more than people would expect, but it hurts. But even if it didn't hurt, it's not enjoyable. Yeah, okay. When people witness you leg press over 500 pounds, and you're like one of the skinniest guys around, that's, you know, it feels good that they noticed, not what you did.
Yes. So these are stereotypes, of course, you know, regarding women and men, and I don't buy into that. You know, usually when they tell me, oh, you're not manly enough, I say, you know, I don't know what manly is. I want to be the way I want to be, and I don't care what you expect from me or so. And now, as far as the
you know, she even has a wand, so she's got her willpower down. So this, again, idea that women are completely unstable and, you know, they can't make decisions without a man. And I mean, we're all responsible for our decisions. Let's not pretend otherwise. But as every princess sits in her throne, the ace of disc of every suit is, of course, the seasonal throne. So where does the seasonal throne rest with you?
Oh, the ace of disc. Well, yeah, let me find out that one as well and check out what I can see. But it's interesting. Let me contemplate it with the. I may also try to contemplate it without the card, because that's also very You know, the fact
I
that
mean, we got a bunch of wings and stuff, but we got green, and as I think I've mentioned to you earlier, is we got the dragon. If we got a seasonal animal, the dragon's the season of the darker part of the year here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got the. It's not the disc. It's the swords. Let me find that one as well. Now, basically, as we got. Oh, I got it. Oh, very good, very good. Let me see. Let me see what I can get. Let me see what I can get from this. Oh, it's very interesting. Oh, I was like, what's wrong with the card? And then I realized I actually inverted it, so I could actually feel the shift. You know. Okay, so, wow. Okay,
I'm just showing for the thing, yeah.
For me,
But
right now, wow, this is, you know, as I look at the,
but it's the ace of disc, for example, is a sort of a creed card, and the wings is sort of a spiritual sort of thing. So,
yeah,
I mean, they are completely secular. You don't have to have any spiritual beliefs to use a tarot card. It's like, what do you think psychology is with all its ink blot cards and whatnot? It's the same stuff, and some psychologists just cut the charade and just get a tarot deck, and it's more to life than a bunch of ink blots.
yes. So for me, it's interesting also that you mentioned the wings being the spiritual aspect, because you know, as I look at this golden center there and those words and whatnot, I immediately just read the actual words as being and the actual vibration as being God, and that is something at the core of this. And what I'm seeing also
Well,
is yeah,
a
it's
Megatherion, isn't that what it says? It's Therion, yeah.
yeah, Omega
You know,
theory. Yeah,
it's one's own personal position in relation to that. Is what Crowley really pointed out, is that, you know, this it's not just some thing that's been imposed on you. Just your true will in thelemic thought is it's not just what you've invented, and it's not what's been merely imposed on you either. And that's what's going on in this card, is that, you know, you got a creed, you're working it out, you got your view of the universe. It's physical, it's spiritual, it involves you. It's your role, what you're becoming.
yeah, and that true will was actually what I was referring to at the saying that you don't need to do what others are telling you, but you should do what you feel is best. Now, as regarding the true will, I mean, that's a big thing for me. Was when I first read about it. Okay, how do I get my true will? And at this point, I realized that only by really connecting to the greatest powers we can find and co-working with that together can we really manifest the will. And the will would be ourselves having obtained whatever glory that we are really capable of obtaining, whatever the maximum glory. And that would be so ourselves in the highest conceivable position. That we are the will, we are the word of the Ayan, we are the Dharma. That would be my sort of logical understanding of that question. It's not really something that we. There is a doing, there is a serving the forces, but in the end product and the end goal is ourself. So that would be my take on the.
So it is. So we've already sort of talked about this, but that's in a separate file, and let's touch back on it so it's all in one thing. And tied in the theme, of course. We can say it's the hour of Jupiter in the night of Jupiter in, you know, where I'm at. Oh wait, no, it's not Jupiter. What am I thinking? It's okay. Hold back. The tower. It's the night of Mars. I was thinking it's Wednesday. Okay. So the tower. Okay, we do have something new here. So obviously you have the you got the demiurge, the fake divinity there, or the person, the worker, which claims to be as if it's the god.
Oh yeah.
The cards changed things. There used to be different letters to the cards, and but we can also say we got the snake and the dove, and you just gotta break free from something. So other than the card and and the card, what's some brief thoughts about all that?
About the tower, you say? Well, it's interesting you should mention the tower. You know, I've been going through the tower for quite the much longer than I would have liked. Not just the tower, but you know, the dark side, the dark night of the soul, being the actual collapse, the physical, mental, um, and energetical, spiritual collapse of myself. And yeah, and that is occurring. But at the same time, as you collapse, that is the thought that we should die daily, and that we should, if we are able to collapse, and if we are able to destroy whatever impurities within or without that we are able, we should do that as much as we can in order to speed up the process, so that at the end of the day we get, you know, we get to the sun, and we get to the rebirth, and we get out of that night. And you know, that
You
would
know, by our words comes the knowledge, or our knowledge survives whatever we're doing here.
yes, the word.
But it's the whole. You know, there's two ways to look at it. The whole, well, to the believer, the world's a prison, and you know, the afterlife is ultimate paradise. And yes, that's true, but that doesn't mean we have to suffer here.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, it's like, okay, you know, ever since I was 13 years old, I shake in pain every single day. But that doesn't mean that, you know, honestly, you know, people say, "Well, you shouldn't be so happy." It's like, why not? It's like, it's, you know, it's the physical condition. I'm definitely operating on a different level, and you got, you know, you're trapped. Obviously, you're trapped in this body, and you have the limitations of this body and whatever the mind. But you know, you got to go beyond that as a spiritual being. So
Yes.
and
So
that's got to be done continually, at least in your thoughts and your words.
thoughts and words, yeah, that's very good. But also that's where, you know, we should, you know, remember that's where soul travel comes in, and that we should achieve, you know, the realization of divinity while in this body, due to the fact of the immense benefit that such carries. Now, as
I'm
far as
guessing if you back up about a foot away from the phone, it's going to be a better picture. But
no, I
continue.
just need to do it like this. Yeah. There we go. So sorry about that. You know, I just get sidetracked listening to you, and forget about my phone position. But what I was getting to, happiness in the physical is something that we have forgotten largely. If we read the scriptures and see the people, you know, see the sages and the saints who were actually the enlightened beings, who were actually served by the gods gave them foods, drinks, took care of them, and so forth. So that is the sort of level of physical happiness that we should possess. We should live as the gods, and that would be, you know, that is what building an empire in the physical world means. Is, okay, go forth, realize your divinity as a spiritual being, come down with all the divinity, and make the world of absolutely amazing dreams and so forth. That is the what
and 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 finding new limits. You're told, or you presume that there's some limits, or maybe you don't see a way out, but you're acting, you know, not again, not suffering because you don't have put any limits on yourself, and then you figure that you can't live out things. It's like you expect to be a billionaire and have a different woman every day and all that stuff, and then you realize it happened.
You know, we can do that. Actually, we can achieve that, but there is a point of, let's say, the limits are not, like I said, you know, every single limit is a limit insofar, let's say, physically we are now mortal, we are now vulnerable, and then we have a certain mental capacity and so forth. But every single one of these limits can be overcome by specific techniques, specific works, specific spells, and so forth. So that is the great hope of the human being, so that eventually we are not
But
bound.
it's like, for example, I can mention things about how people would not, as if anybody hasn't seen the back, as much as they're not reversible terribly much, you really don't get a more of a message in the back of a tarot card than you do than the Thoth tarot, because you really have the whole deck right on the back there. And but yeah, let's start approaching a close here. The Queen of Cups.
Yeah, let me find that one as well.
And
The Queen of Cups, for me, as I was looking at it, I'm gonna find it also now in order to see what I can get. But as I was looking at it throughout, my sort of several years of practice, to me, the Queen of Cups was always the world of dreams. And when I would pull out the Queen of Cups, I said, now, this is your inner world, and I'm now gonna tell you what you're thinking about, what you're wanting, what your dreams and desires, and so forth. So to me, that was the sort of inner world card wherein I could know those things. And as far as and I suppose that would be our desire is to achieve a certain level of the power over the watery element, so that we are calm and peaceful, and our world, just reflects, and at the same point we can manifest whatever we
you
desire
see, you see,
in the water.
just like the princess, you have, you have things in the water, things that are both. But yeah, but you're going beyond the sort of Narcissus, or is that how you say the name, Narcissus, or however you say the entity that became narcissism, and the flower.
Ooh, narcissism.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes, maybe it's not.
That's the danger. Obviously, she's in a better position than the princess, because she's actually accomplished. But that doesn't mean she's better than the princess. And even if she is, the idea of going around with hubris kind of is going to hold her back. But yeah, she does have that reflective power going on.
Oh, here we go. I found it. Okay, very good, very good. So let me see that as well. Now, as far as let's look into it. I'm gonna look into it right now, and let's see what I can get. For now, for me, this is the card of the water. We came through several levels here with these cards. We came through several things that they connect with. Now, as we look here, I'm seeing the waters flowing down and sort of fertilizing everything else we talked about regarding the other cards, in order to bring it to maturity. So that would be the use of this card in here. Because it's interesting how we are doing a magical working and also changing ourselves at this very moment, and also divining the future. So this is a sort of very mixed and sort of high level work that I'm kind of getting at, kind of feeling out here. Now, what can I see? I see that basically there is a shape. Oh, and actually, just
At least tap an arm's length away from the phone with your face.
Oh, sorry. Still, like I said, I was paying attention to the card. So actually, this is the first time I've actually seen the face of the Queen of Cups, because in my deck, another deck I used to have, it was really maybe kind of too opaque for me. And the tarot is very interesting that way, in that divining with it for years, you may still see other things, actual physical images actually pop up that you did not notice before. Now, so the first thing I saw was that
tarot comes from a word in here, and the word is tra'a, or tari, or trau. So there's 3 different variations of it. I'm sorry, I had food in my mouth. Did you understand me?
Yes, I did. And I actually, so this is the first time I've seen her now. But the point was that the first thing I saw as I looked at the card was that the throne of the Queen of Cups is empty. So we have the capacity to fill it. And there is an interesting thought I want to touch on regarding thrones and regarding filling thrones, taking that position of power. Regarding the 9 gatekeepers, I have seen them in many forms. With the one form that stuck out was Lucifuge as the black throne, a black empty throne that we can take and therefore become that. And that really what it is. You know, they are the thrones that's really what it is. They are the thrones that we enter into. That we are the kings and the holders and the sitters thereupon.
Well, there's always something else.
Oh yeah.
You know, the cup and disc in particular, you know, there's something to put on top, there's something to put in, there's always something to come through. And let's more quickly now, I guess. I don't really have it set up to read the thing, but let's do more or less a random. So let's say, well, let's do a star here. Fire as the 6 of Wands.
Oh.
Water as the 5 of Discs. Spirit as the Lovers reversed. Air as the 6 of Discs. And Earth as the Chariot reversed.
Oh.
So let's go through those before we close. So I guess so Tuesday is sort of a fire day, so
6 of Wands.
I didn't lay it down. I didn't lay it down in the right order, but I did say what they were. So so victory.
Yeah.
So definitely we want to be victorious with our desires rather than just letting them go somewhere, right?
Interesting.
Worry would be the water card.
Yeah.
So, but hey, it's okay to be worried about things sometimes. You know, people need to be not so hard on themselves. Worrying definitely keeps us from further danger, but and the air card, success, but you know, it should be definitely about making something happen that we're worried about. Well, I mean that, you know, what we do with our worry. And in this world, we got to realize that the vehicles aren't everything. So these thoughts and these feelings and these emotions in this body, yeah, we got to use it, but and the spirit of things.
Oh yeah, that would be.
Sometimes we have to break. Sometimes there's relationships and conditions that have been put on us that we just got to break them. I mean, I'm not saying unethically or anything, but yeah. So what's your thought on these?
Oh, about, you know, if you're talking about breaking things, yeah, there are things that we got to break, and usually those are the things within. Sometimes the things without. Therefore, we can use definitely whatever kind of force that we have available to us. Now, regarding transcending thoughts, yes, that would be the principle, because if we do not transcend thoughts, we do not transcend the physical and so forth. We will end up with the weaknesses of the physical. At the end of the day, we will end up dead. And regarding ethics, how I would perform, let's say, because that would be, I'm always saying, okay, what is it that I want? I know what I want, then I want to try to do it. And to me, the end really justifies the means. As regards ethics, The only kind of ethic that I have for myself that I would adhere to 100% would be don't destroy your mind, don't destroy your body, and don't destroy your spirit. Because these are what I would call, sins. Because if we do that, then we are quite literally screwed. But other than that, if we are able to keep a fine line, as far as destroying, we destroy what we don't need, but keep what we do regarding the body, mind, spirit, so forth. So if we're able to do that and keep it well, then we can do whatever the hell we want. And about ethics, as we go into how the gods perceive it, as we channel them and work with them, how the gods perceive how we should act in this world, we come upon the sort of understanding, that they don't really care. I mean, they can destroy anything they want. They can create anything they want. And they're basically saying, as far as my experience, hey, you guys should do the same. Don't limit yourselves to any kind of ethics, to any kind of, a statement that this is how you should live. And this is where Belial comes through, as far as saying, okay, these are limitations. So break them down and see what's really beneath. There are a lot of psychological concepts that we get implanted with as far as how we should live and act. So, for example, I channeled Allah yesterday, and the biggest thought that came through was, okay, look, every single one is lying to you due to their inborn human ignorance. So it's up to you to make out some truth with the help of greater forces. And you can really only trust yourself and those forces, but not really the humans, and they're all going to perish anyway. So that would be kind of how really we can keep a clear head and steer beyond the lies and so forth, other bondages, psychological or otherwise, that are upon.
I see that time-wise, I'm going to have to go. So let me close with a few repetitions of his name here in Daemoniacus Vmmh, or Blazu Vmmh, as it would be fully in that language. Rerh Vmr Fh. Was Vmr Fh. Was rerh Vmr Fh. And that's according to whatever consciousness and intention that's one may take on, and but that's his name in that language. And as one is well aware, is that the physical human is a city of 9 gates. The ancient Egyptians thought of people in terms of 9 souls. There's so many different 9 things in mythology. And any last sentences before we close, and you get me this link, and you get me the you message me the video here. And
yes, so I would have closed up with Neos Algo and Dabi, in order to kind of get the acausal energies flowing in here, as far as the more potential to go into our lives. And as far as what I should say, suppose Western inverts, to keep, this was going to be for myself, a bit of a channeling, and maybe for others that find it to keep strength, strength of self, to never allow anyone to break oneself, and to see that though the self be broken, the true self still persists, alas, regardless, eternal. That's kind of maybe how I should try to close.
So, yeah, I think this. Well, the fact that we heard each other, if no other reason,
it's magical. It is. Yes.
But yeah, I think this went better than last time. So
Definitely.
Peace be upon you and upon our viewers or listeners or whatever people decide to do with this.